Couple of things I want to talk about this evening. It's all old news now. It happened last night, late yesterday afternoon, when prosecutors going after this criminal son of a bitch told Trump's legal team that he is a target of the investigation. Oh, my God. Do you realize what we're about to experience? Federal prosecutors have informed the legal team of the orange bastard Donald Trump that he's the target of their investigation. And that's the investigation into the way he tried to commit full-blown treason against the United States by taking classified war documents that were plans drawn up against Iran that he was going to sell, I'm sure, to the Saudis. Maybe Israel, because his punk-ass Jewish fascist son-in-law, Kushner, has great connections in Israel. Who knows? But Trump is not the type to just keep these documents and be a show-off. Yes, he's a 3-year-old when it comes to that kind of shit. Look, Mommy, I went poo-poo, finally! You know, that's Trump. But I think he had, and I think this will prove out eventually, he had bigger plans for these documents. These were his tickets to hundreds of millions of dollars. And he knew it, so he kept them. Now, that's just me talking, right? The investigation by federal prosecutors is into his handling of these documents after the son of a bitch left D.C. Now, the notification to Trump's legal team by prosecutors from the Office of Special Counsel, that is the clearest signal. Oh, for Christ's sake, haven't we had enough signals over the past 8 years of this rancid bastard? But this is the clearest signal that the Orange Nazi is going to face charges in this investigation. I hope that's the case. I mean, the whole Republican Party just stuck its head so far up its own ass that it disappeared. And in its place, we have the American Nazi Party, the Christian Fascist Party. And they're not going to do anything about Trump. And the Democratic Party is loath to do the kind of shit tactics that the Christian fascists do all the time. Because the Democratic Party, most of it anyway, still believes that the best way for this country to govern itself is through some form of democracy. Not a totalitarian dictatorship like this orange bastard wants and his Christian terrorist backers want. With a couple of Jews sprayed in there too, but not very many. Where was I? Now, a big discussion yesterday I noticed on MSNBC was when was Trump's team told he was a target of this inquiry? Well, who gives a shit? I mean, do you? I don't. This story was first broken by The Guardian and then The Times and Post, and everybody picked up on it. But, I mean, I guess in the wonderful world of competitive journalism in these times, it's very important who broke the story first. Okay, it was The Guardian, but I'm quoting from the New York Times, all right? All right. However, the notice that the Department of Justice gave to the orange bastard so-called legal team suggested that prosecutors working for Jack Smith, special counsel, had pretty much completed their investigation now and were moving toward bringing an indictment. That's something else, that the speculation, oh my God, ever since the Russia investigation, that filthy attorney general that Trump had killed. Remember that? Barr's little gift to the orange bastard. Now, last year in court papers, federal prosecutors indicated they were taking a very close look at whether Trump had broken laws where it concerned his theft of documents, especially national security documents. And the second part of that was whether he had obstructed government efforts to retrieve them. Well, goddamn, don't we know this by now? The answer to both of those questions? Of course, He took national security documents. Why? How do we know that? Because we found them. The search party found them in his scum-sucking winter palace. And how do we know that he obstructed government efforts to retrieve them? Because he's even come out and admitted it on national television. Oh, the wheels of justice grind very slow, but for Christ's sake, don't grind up Lady Justice while you're doing it. Come on. Remember, Trump was found to have more than 300 documents with classified markings at Mar-a-Lago, his winter palace down there in Floristan, including some found in a search there by FBI agents 2 months after his former lawyers for the former president said a diligent search had not turned up any more. You feds have them all. And now it turns out that maybe some of his legal team had been lied to by Trump, which would absolve them from the kind of terror that they're facing now if they participated in this crime. Officers of the court, lawyers, going along with the bullshit story to federal prosecutors and investigators. Uh-oh. Now, getting back to what happened yesterday, we should all know this by now, too. For God's sake, it's almost like all of us have gotten a law degree of some sort from listening to all the shit, the charges and appeals and indictments and everything that has gone on since this orange bastard crawled out from under a rock at NBC. Woo! But notifying a potential defendant that person is a target of an investigation is a formal way of indicating that the person is a direct focus of that criminal investigation. And often notifying somebody that they're a target precedes the filing of charges. And I guess the notification, hey, you're a target, is to allow the person to scramble and get the attorneys on the blower and say, God damn, you're going to have to save me. In Trump's case, the attorneys are saying, who's this? Trump. Do I know you, sir? Now, the notification from the justice of somebody's a target typically opens the door to defense lawyers to request a meeting with prosecutors to offer their side of the story. Now, what do we see in Manhattan a couple days ago? Trump's attorneys meeting with the federal prosecutors did they request a meeting to find out exactly how far Jack Smith was going to go? And in order to short circuit that, maybe present their side of the story. What would be their side of the story? Well, Mr. Donald Trump, the president, former, didn't know anything about any of this. I mean, what kind of a defense can they put up? Trump, having the brain workings of a 6-year-old, no offense to 6-year-olds, has already confessed to this how many goddamn times? On Fox, on CNN, to anybody who'll listen. I had a right to take them. They're mine. I mean, come on. And it was on Monday that these 3 Trump lawyers met for almost 2 hours with Jack Smith and some of the others in the Justice Department to what people close to the orange fascist described as a final effort to try to stop charges from appearing in an indictment against this bastard and to let the top prosecutors know what they believe to be misconduct in Jack Smith's investigation. As if. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh, well, listen, Jack, you sent me a letter one time, had the word take in it, and the T wasn't crossed. Oh. And then on Wednesday, yesterday, witnesses continued to appear in front of a federal grand jury in Miami. And that was hearing evidence in the documents case. And among them was this poor son of a bitch, Taylor Butowich, one of Trump's former spokesgeeks, Buttigieg, that poor guy, boy, did he sell his soul to, I don't know, Satan's father, I guess. So I love the way the New York Times put this. Listen up. Aides and advisors to Mr. Trump spent the day in a state of high tension. Yeah. Oh, I would think so. So as this Taylor Buttigieg, this poor bastard, as he completed his grand jury appearance, a conservative, a Christian fascist journalist who serves as one of Trump's representatives. The guy's name is John Solomon, one of Trump's representatives to the National Archives. But this guy, John Solomon, published an article claiming that prosecutors were moving toward indicting Mr. Trump imminently. Okay. Thanks for the heads up, I guess. Thanks, whatever, Mr. whatever your name is. Now, the New York Times contacted the orange fascists directly, right? And they wanted to ask if he had, in fact, been told that he would be indicted. And he said, "That's not true." Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. But when asked if he had been told he's the target of a federal investigation, Trump used his usual bullshit. He didn't quite respond directly. He tried to do this, pat somebody on the back with one hand and pick their pocket with the other. And he said, "Well, you have to understand that I was not in direct touch with prosecutors." Is that your answer? And he then repeated, according to the Times, he repeated "It's not true" that he was told he will be indicted. Well, you just keep believing that, Orangey, huh? And a short time after that, I'm talking about yesterday, a short time after that, Trump was at his shithole in Bedminster, New Jersey. He posted a message denying Mr. Solomon's claim on his social media platform. Trump put this up on his little toy platform. He put, quote, "No one has told me I'm being indicted, and I shouldn't be because I've done nothing wrong. But I have assumed for years that I am a target of the weaponized DOJ and FBI." End quote. It's another example of how this rancid son of a bitch Trump would throw government agencies, he would throw the whole goddamn country into the shitter if he would benefit. I don't think we have, well, come on, what do you mean you don't think, Malloy? There has never been a more venal, immoral piece of human scum in a position of power. Do you realize that one time, for 4 years, this son of a bitch had the nuclear codes? Never has there been a pissant like Donald Trump with that kind of power. Not even in fiction. Oh, my God. So, no one told me I'm being indicted, right? Now, according to the Times, most of this investigation into Trump's theft of top secret documents and possible treason because of that theft, most of the investigation has been conducted by a grand jury sitting in D.C. And that grand jury has heard from bunches of witnesses over the past several months, including some of the orange bastards' White House advisors, some of the low-level workers at Mar-a-Lago, and more than 20 members of his Secret Service security detail. Damn, don't you wonder what that conversation was all about, huh? Jesus. All of us are so goddamn sick of this. To hear the name Trump, do you realize how many times the name Trump has either been said or appeared in print in the past 8 years? I mean, more than any other human being in the history of the world, with one possible exception, maybe Hitler. Good God. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. The Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy. 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.